Look around at our sprawling cities and technology. It's easy to assume we were always destined to run this planet. But rewind the clock 15 million years, and our story looks very different. Back then, you would find Dryopithecus. They are our direct ancestors, but they possessed entirely hairy bodies and lived a life that was strictly ape-like. Around that same time, a slightly more human-like group emerged. This is Ramapithecus. We know they existed because their fossilized remains were discovered right here, tucked into the Shivalik Hills of India. These early species share our family tree, yet they are undeniably wild animals. The specific biological driver that turned an ape into a modern human is still millions of years away. To find the answer, we have to look inside the skull. This is a chart tracking our cranial capacity, the actual physical volume of the brain, measured in cubic centimeters. Right now, at the dawn of our timeline, this line is flat. But tracking this rising line over the next few million years shows exactly how expanding brain tissue made the specific behaviors possible that kept our ancestors alive. Our first major data point registers at exactly 500 cubic centimeters. This brain volume belongs to Australopithecus. They stood about 4 feet tall and lived primarily in the tall grass of the East African savanna. Living in those open grasslands required a new physical strategy. For the very first time in our evolutionary history, this species lifted off its knuckles and began moving upright on 2 legs. Soon after came Homo habilis, earning the title of able man. With a larger brain, their cognitive reach expanded, allowing them to manufacture tools from scratch. They carefully shaped stones into sharp-edged weapons. Their diet was still entirely plant-based. They used these specific tools to process and crack open tough fruits. The data then shifts again. Our chart climbs up and locks in at a solid 900 cubic centimeters, marking the arrival of Homo erectus. With almost double the brain volume of their predecessors, their physical structure adapted. They achieved a fully erect, straight-spined posture. Behaviorally, Homo erectus moved beyond simple gathering. They figured out how to harness fire, and they used that heat to begin cooking and consuming meat. We know they spread far beyond Africa because of the physical evidence they left behind. In 1891, archaeologists uncovered this fossilized skull cap in Java, perfectly preserving that 900 cc brain case. The graph line then spikes rapidly, hitting 1,400 cubic centimeters. This brings us to the rugged Neanderthals. Between 40,000 and 100,000 years ago, they populated the freezing climates of Central and East Asia. To survive those harsh conditions, their larger brains developed a critical adaptation. They were the first to systematically cover their bodies with clothing. They also developed behaviors entirely separate from immediate survival. They began burying their dead, often placing flowers on the graves, an early indicator of ritual and empathy. Our chart then pushes to its absolute historical peak, 1,650 cubic centimeters. This is Cro-Magnon. These are the direct ancestors of modern humans. We can see their complex symbolic syncing preserved in stone. These ancient cave paintings, discovered in the Bhimbetka caves of Madhya Pradesh, show an ability to imagine and record the world around them. Reaching this maximum in raw brain volume gave hominids a physical advantage that separated them from any other animal. They began observing, interpreting, and communicating complex ideas through art. But at the end of our timeline, the data does something unexpected. The graph drops from the 1650 cc peak to 1,350 cubic centimeters. Looking at this sudden loss of mass, you might assume our species lost cognitive power. Yet this smaller measurement belongs to us, Homo sapiens sapiens. We emerged during the extreme freeze of the Ice Age, roughly 75,000 years ago. The answer to this biological paradox is efficiency. Our brains stopped expanding in raw physical size and instead optimized their internal wiring. The neural connections became denser and faster. That internal efficiency permanently changed how we survived. Around 10,000 years ago, we invented agriculture, reshaping the natural landscape to yield reliable food. We started as hairy primates navigating the ancient forests, but by optimizing the human mind, we learned to manipulate the environment itself, building the complex civilizations that cover the globe today.